Hello there, it's me again, your sophisticated sounding Brummy Phil. I hope you are having a wonderful day wherever you are. This time I'm coming to you with a course on Excel, specifically Office 365. And again, the style of these videos is intended for you to follow along, pause the videos and repeat the activities on your machine in your own time. Now the premise for this training series is, well, let me take you back to one weekend in October 2023. And I found myself sitting in a pub with my family, chatting to my wife's sister Sharon, who is an office manager for a local veterinary practice. Now, Sharon was explaining to me how she was struggling to print off the team rota for the next 2 weeks, which she manages in Excel. Now Sharon knows I'm a bit of a nerd and proud of it too when it comes to this stuff. And we had a giggle, mainly at her expense, about how she was getting frustrated with Excel's seeming unwillingness to cooperate. In the end, Sharon rang her son, who proceeded to berate her, reference her lack of Excel skills. So no help there then. She continued to ring various friends and colleagues to solve what she thought was a complicated problem and get this team rota to print off correctly. Now, she got there in the end, but it was hard work. After hearing this amusing story, it led me to thinking of 3 things. There are many people who, let's say, are more seasoned amongst us that seem to be afraid of Excel and not realise how it can be a friend to them in their role and even in their personal lives. I also realise that I have encountered many young talented project managers and PMOs who struggled with the basics of Excel, which is, after all, an integral tool of the job in any industry or role, not just for project managers, PMOs, or younger and older professionals, but everyone. Now, I'm a big believer that we learn better by actually doing, but this has to be accompanied by a need, i.e. we are trying to solve a problem or create something that makes our lives and jobs easier. Without the need, then the former becomes unfocused and ultimately forgettable. Then I thought back to my chat with Sharon, our office manager, and I said to myself, how would I create a 2-week team rota or timetable in Excel based on the functionality that we now have available to us in Office 365? So first, let me show you the team rota that I created in Excel 365, and then through the training videos I will walk you through step by step my thought process and how I created my version of this team 2-week rota. Sharon, I hope you're watching. So this is a demo of the 2-week rota template that I came up with in Excel Office 365. And the first tab, which is the 2-week rota or timetable, this is the visual representation that is currently blank, awaiting data to be entered into it. So this is the printable view of your 2-week timetable or rota, and we can see who's working, we can see who's on vacation, we can see their name and their skill set, we can see what hours we've allocated to them over that 2-week period, and we can see how many hours are available to us remaining for that 2-week period. You can see the start date, which is the 2nd of October, and you can see that week starting date here, the days of the week and the AM and PM activity allocation, and then the second week, which is the 9th of October 2023 here, and again the days of the week and the allocation against the AM and PM periods of the day. We can sort this information by name and skill set, and this is the key. So when you're looking at this visually, you can see what it means based on this key, and I can navigate through the time period using these spin buttons here. So if I press the up spin button, you can see it moves to the 9th here, and I can now see the 16th. If I press it up again, it then moves it along 1 week, and again I can see now week starting the 16th to the 10th and week starting the 23rd of the 10th. And if I want to put it back to where we started from, I can hit reset. It'll take us back to the 2nd of October. So that's the visual. And if I press print preview, I think it's always best practice to put a meaningful title on your prints. So I can see 2-week rota, change tips and tools. I can see this is page 1 of 2, and I can see that the source of this print is from this file here. And I can then scroll to the second page, and I can see the second week in that 2-week period, like so. Then if I go to the Rota Data, this is where we maintain the team timetable information. So this is the data that feeds our 2-week rota visual. We can perform basic checks against their contracted weekly hours, so we don't over allocate them. And we can also put some meaningful comments for booking holidays or illness, for example. Then if I move to the team tab, this is where we define our team. It's where we maintain who's in our team, what their names are, what their skill set or capability is, and what their weekly contracted hours are. And then finally, the static data tab that I've created. This is where we maintain the drop-down options for our tables. It is also where we keep our reference data for calculations like AM and PM hours, for example. We also control the master start date here for our 2-week visual, and you can also see the 2-week rota adjustment. And this is controlled by the spin buttons on our 2-week rota visual, as we allowing us to move through the time periods displayed in that 2-week visual. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this to the 23rd of October, like so. And then I'm going to go to my team tab, and I'm going to define our team. So the first one is Sharon Widget. Sharon is the office manager, and she's contracted 37.5 hours per week. We've then got Peter Brown, who is a nurse, and again is contracted 37.5 hours per week. Let me enter the rest of the team in there. Click here and paste values only. Whenever you're working with templates, it's always best to do paste values only. Any good PMO will tell you don't just copy and paste. If you're pasting data into a template that they've created, they'll request you to do values only, so you don't mess around with the formatting in that template. There's a tip for you. And if you haven't told people to do that, then tell them, because they will mess your template up if you don't give them that instruction. Now let's go to the 2-week rota, see what, and you can see now it's picked up all our names automatically. If I look at the print preview, you can see it's picked those names up, so I can see the first starting period, which is the 23rd of October here, and then if I go to the next page, you can see the second week, the 30th of October there. Great. So let's enter some actual rota data in here. So if we look at Pete Brown, now while I love drop down options within tables or data validation functionality of Excel, because it means I can just type a name in here, and if it doesn't exist in those drop down options, it's going to tell me give me instruction to use something. So in this case, you must select a team member from the drop down list. So I'm going to click cancel, and I'm going to select Peter Brown there, like so. And you can see it's picked up Peter's skill set and so on automatically. So for Peter, I'm going to enter a date of the 24th, which should be the Tuesday. There you go, it's confirmed. And because this is a calculated column like so, like it's a VLOOKUP, it won't let me make any changes to that. It'll just move me to the next available column where I can make an edit, which is great within the table. And it stops your users making any errors, or you making any errors. If you're anything like me, I definitely do a lot of typos. So anything I can do to remove the ability for me to do a typo is fantastic. And I'm going to do that to the Saturday, and from the drop down it's working, and again on the PM working. So I've done that for a date range. I can do it for one day, so either 24th to the 24th, so that'd be one day, or I can do it for a range. So I've done this for a range for the first week, and you can see that the total hours that I've allocated to Peter is 37 hours, and I can see that contracted hours per week is 37 hours, so all is good. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to enter information for the rest of the team. So I've now entered some data. Let's see what it's done to our visual. So you can now see on our visual is that we've got some information. If I scroll through, so the first thing I'm picking up on here is that I can see that Eddie has 7.5 hours still available over this 2-week period. If I scroll 1 week forward, so if I scroll to the 30th, I can then see that Eddie has no hours available, so I know it's in this first week. And I can also see visually that Eddie, I've made an error where he starts on the Tuesday and he's supposed to finish on the Saturday, and I haven't done that. And then when I was scrolling, I noticed here on Pete Brown is that I've got an error. So that means I've got a duplication in the data, so I need to fix that. Now, one of the great things about Excel is if I go to the Rota Data, I then go to View. And if you've got two screens, this is also even better for you. If I go View ribbon, and do New Window, like so, and then I change this window to be my 2-week rota. So now I could drag this down onto my other screen, and I can look at them side by side. So as I make changes in the data, I can see real time the impact on my 2-week rota. Or if I only have one screen, with this selected, I can do View, Arrange All, and arrange them vertically so I can see them side by side, which again is great. Makes life so much easier instead of me flicking backwards and forwards. So let's look at Eddie Murphy was the first one. So the first week starting the 23rd, Eddie needs to be extended. So I can do a filter on the table. So if I do the drop down, start typing Eddie's name, and there's Eddie. Okay, so here are the entries for Eddie. So I know I've got to extend this one to the Saturday. And if I look at Eddie's name here, and I can see the 7.5 hours currently, and I can see at the moment the Saturday's not there. And if I make change edit to the 28th, so extend it to Saturday, like so, you can now see that those available hours have gone, and if I scroll to the right already, you can now see that the weekend is now filled. Brilliant. So let's go to the following week, and then we'll move forward again. And this is where I can see Pete Brown has got an error here. So let's have a look at what's going on with Pete Brown. So Pete's starting on the Tuesday, which is the 7th there, 7th of November. So again, if I go into the table on the left here, and I go to data, and I clear the filters and the sorts, etc., reset that table. I then do another filter on Pete Brown. There he is. And I can do a filter on, so let's just look at November, so get rid of October, so I'm only looking at November. Filter that information. And what I can see here is that I've got a duplication. So you've got the 7th of November to the 11th of November working, and then on the 10th I've put him as having a vacation. So what I need to do is I need to amend that. So I'm just going to take this filter off. So again, in the table, data here, and I'm going to take this filter off, and I am going to find, and there he is. So this is the week. I'm going to insert another row here. So first thing I'm going to do is going to amend this to the 9th. So make the range to the 9th, like so. To the Thursday is then on holiday on the Friday. And then if I select Bob the Builder here, just below Pete Brown, right click and insert above, and then put another entry for Pete Brown, and do this for the 11th. Like so, and say, yeah, Pete is working. Like so, and you can see that error's gone from over here. So I'm going to close that window down, expand this to full screen again, and if I go over to my 2-week rota, like I said, there's no problems here. Obviously I've got available hours because I've not scheduled anything for week starting the 13th of November. If I go back to the start, reset it back to the 23rd of the 10th, I can now see what's been allocated for weeks on the 23rd and the 30th. If I move it forward for a week, I can see week starting the 6th, the 11th, and if I move it forward again, I can see that I've still got to make I've got to build the rota for week starting the 13th of the 11th. And if I do print preview, I can see that information being displayed. It's got all the information on here so people can go and look at that and they know what they're looking at in a glance. Obviously, if I'd over allocated somebody, by the way, then this would show as a negative here as well, so I could show that I've actually over allocated somebody based on their availability. Now this view is sorted by name, but I can also, if I want to look at it by skill set to make sure I've got appropriate cover, I can select the drop down sort by here and change it to skill. And now you can see it's sorted by the various different skill sets. So the nurses, I've got the office manager, the receptionists and the vets, and I can see how that's organised by week as well, like so. If you want to know how to create this, then this video series on Excel will walk us through step by step what I did, the thought process that I went through. I'll also show you how to build formulas, hopefully remove that fear from seemingly large complex formulas, and I'll walk you through step by step on how I do that as well and break it down. So hopefully I'll see you soon for the first training video, which will be out in a few weeks' time. Hope to see you soon. You take care now.